Going to be not coming tonight or in attendance at all. All right, you rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Paul Goldrick will be late, but he will be joining, and Liz Ducius will be absent tonight. I need a motion for approval of board and committee minutes, facility committee meeting minutes of January 11th, 2021, regular meeting minutes of January 11th, 2021, policy committee meeting minutes of January 21st, 21, and policy committee meeting minutes of January 27th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Weissel?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Goldrick? Oh, he's not here. And Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. And I did motion to approve the regular executive session meeting minutes of January 11th, 2021 as presented.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And you have some additional bills in front of you. Any questions on the expenses? In that case, I need a motion to approve the February 2021 expenses as presented.
So moved. Second.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mike, are you on?
I am.
We're up to you already.
All right, flying. Balance in the Super Now account at First Community at the end of January was $338,733.31. Outstanding checks at month end were $32,548.02. January payroll expenses that carried over month end, $28,968.09, leaving the adjusted bank balance at $277,217.02.
I think we lost him. Mike?
The Wi-Fi.
31.
Horrible.
Oh, you're back?
Even the balance. Yep. Oh, bye.
Yeah, we lost you
Where'd you lose me?
after the balance of
Adjusted bank balance.
the adjusted bank balance.
Okay. Lunch program 614088. Impressed?
Uh-oh. Again.
This has been all day. I lost my class at 2:20 today.
Oh yeah, wireless. The server.
Wi-Fi, Xfinity is not having a good day.
First, 12,580, 430.21. Did I cut out again?
Yeah, you did.
Let's see.
Yeah, he's still there. Okay.
I'm still here.
So
Okay.
on any
What?
treasurer's report, that really important number is balance all funds end of
Yeah.
the month. If you'll notice, it was at $12.58 million. That's the one that we track. It waxes and wanes throughout the year. It'll continue to decline for the next few months until we get that big influx of local property tax revenue in May.
All right. And anything unusual, Mike?
No, not at all.
All right. Any questions for Mike on the treasurer's report? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Pappas,
Yes.
Mazur,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. All right, Janet, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Janet Pallmeyer, 1160 Ash Street. Well, I've been quiet for the last couple of months, but there's a couple of concerns that I have that has just downright ticked me to no end. So now the kid gloves are off because I'm just going to honk off. As I listened to January's meeting at home, I just want to state how appalled I am with a couple of board members. Since Liz is not here, this first one is guided towards her. Month after month, Mr. Cox provides an outstanding update for reopening. Every month, Liz chimes in and asks every single month about how, if a child may have been exposed, if contacted COVID, the contact tracing, etc., along with the process that the school is taking. I am sure that Mr. Cox provides you weekly updates with the guidelines in his superintendent report. Since she's not here, maybe Liz needs to Google, because it's not rocket scientist to look for these guidelines. I'm just irritated that she wastes time every single month with every single damn question. And it's the same answer every single month. I would love to waste my time, but since she's not here, I'm choosing not to waste none of yours, because both of my children have been exposed, and I was going to explain the process, but I can wait until next month when she hears this. She truly is a piece of work. My second concern, which really pissed me off, is when Mr. Gahan was expressing his condolences and thoughts about Mr. Sean Daly with his passing. And the very first words out of your mouth, Carla, was, "What about AP testing?" I am floored. You are concerned about that? What is wrong with you? I took your comment as rude, ignorant, and heartless. You have struck my damn last nerve, and now you have insulted my child who is in that AP history class. You don't know what he went through. You did not see the look on his face when I had to tell him his teacher passed away. And you're concerned about AP testing? You're an ass. You are more concerned about that than my children's feelings or anybody else's feelings in that class, or the mental stress in losing a teacher. It's just for you. Testing, testing, testing. You are a piece of crap, and shame on you. You have zero conscience of how these kids feel or any of their feelings. It is sad. In the Vedette paper a few weeks back, you listed all your degrees and certificates. Just because you're book smart doesn't mean you have common sense. It's quite evident from your comments last month that you are a few fries short of a Happy Meal. But on a positive note, I will thank you, because of all the stupid comments you say only help voters to decide come April. Now for the real kick in the butt. I'm going to blast this entire board and the high school administration team. How dare you have school in session today with no goddamn heat? When I dropped off my daughter this morning, it was 1 degree outside. 1. Do I have to call school now every day and ask if there's heat? Who did not check the boilers over the weekend? Didn't anybody want to call the maintenance man? Because that is his job, and he's a salaried employee. Oh yes, Ron, my kids were freezing for 3 hours in class today. And I just found out too, the elementary school did not have heat either. Let me guess. A few people walked into the school this morning and said, "Ooh, it's chilly in here," and realized that the heat is not on. More people probably came in and said, you probably brainstormed and thought, well, it's only 3 hours while the kids are in class. This is just a guess, but if that's how students and staff are treated, I am appalled. I cannot wait for the next facilities committee meeting, because the lack of common sense is quite disturbing. If the chair for the facilities, yes, you, Juan Hernandez, didn't have heat in your food pantry, you bet you'd raise holy hell to get that fixed. But dropping the ball at the high school and now at the elementary, that shit will not fly. I am truly appalled at the selfishness of some of these board members. But on a positive note, less than 60 days for the public to decide the next school board members. Thank you.
I didn't know about the heat issue.
When you get to the superintendent's report,
My kids were freezing.
can you explain that to us in the superintendent's report for us? At
Yes.
that point?
Thank you.
Is there any more comments? Public comments? I have a public comment. There were 7 either inappropriate or cuss words. And I feel like when you're like talking about the voters and the decide, you're campaigning, and this has been going on for so long. It's really negative. It's really appalling what's been happening month after month.
You
And I
know
don't
the...
think
Okay,
there should
okay.
be
Oh,
campaigning.
I'm still in public comment, Larry.
This is not the place for it, okay?
You are
Let's-
absolutely right.
All right, thank you. Let's get down to the business at hand.
And not personal attacks.
Mr. Gayam, are you on? Joe?
He does show signed in, he is muted right now.
Was there any online public comment? No,
Oh, I
just
didn't
make
check,
sure.
yeah, I didn't. I don't know if there's any, I don't
We
think
should
there's
probably
anybody
check,
on.
otherwise we could be.
I will see if Jack's coming in.
Okay,
check. Is there anybody?
is there anyone else online? I think there's only Gayam and only 2 people on.
Okay. Sounds good.
I don't see any hands raised indicating for public comment on the first result.
Okay, thank you.
You are here.
Yeah, sorry. Takes a little bit to get through the YouTube to me, and then my overweight self gets out here.
You're breathing normally.
Mask is hiding really well. Sir, are you good for me? Good, all right. So I'm going to give you I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is a really, really rough report. COVID, there's basically nothing I can present you with data except for what I managed to kind of squeeze out here. There is a minor tweak to the newsletter I want to address before I get to this. At the time the newsletter was sent out, IDPH/IHSA/the governor/CDC/whomever else you want to talk about had guidelines for in-person spectators. In the last 7 days, they've changed some of those regulations, so Mr. Ogden and I are going to be working together to see if we can't put together some kind of rotation where some of our games we can have spectators. So we're in the process of looking at that.
Thank you, and I know that involves a lot, so I really appreciate it.
It does, and honestly, the only way we can is because our gym right now has bleachers 14 feet off the floor
Yeah.
already.
Well, the YouTube video went well today, so thank you, Mr. Duncan, too, for setting it up.
The man. All right, so the SAT results I pulled off were from the seniors who took it in October. These are College Board numbers, not ISBE numbers. And again, if you remember from last year, ISBE pulls those numbers down a little bit. So when I say College Board says that 57% of our students pass ELA, ISBE's numbers are 20 to 25 points higher, which means that number is probably more realistic, around 53 or 52. However, during a COVID year, our ELA department still went up. I'll give you 10%. It says 15 or 10%.
Okay.
It's remarkable. That is remarkable. There's no way you can cut that without just saying the astonishing work that Ms. Lang, Serta, and Martin are doing at the high school.
Could I just ask, do you have the comparables from when those kids were taking the PSATs before? Like if their individual scores were
So
raising?
these seniors did not take a
They
PSAT
didn't go through that?
because of COVID. They would have been the PSAT 10, which didn't, or 9, which didn't exist at
Okay,
the time.
okay. I thought that they were around the time when it started, so I just making sure.
Yep,
Okay.
correct. The seniors from 19 did take it, or the seniors from, I forget what The October assessment was given to, so that's the PSAT for last year's seniors, but they never took the SAT, and that was a waiver on them.
Okay.
So that's why there's a missing gap. Math, again, we see a decrease. I'll be honest with you, a former math teacher, A, that scares me a little bit, but B, I've talked to Ms. Lang about this, she's all right with me saying this. I can, on a consistent basis, tell students to read, interpret, and explain to me why that evidence matches that question. It's taught from them from grade 2 to grade 12. There's not a whole lot of difference. It's just the depth or the content what they're working with. It's really hard for me to explain the quadratic formula to a junior who isn't in person, or the substitution elimination method when they're not in person to see it. So in my opinion, mathematics is something you have to practice in person. It's just tough. Yes, ma'am.
What, the percentages, are those meet or and exceed, or? what
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
The number of students who met or exceeded. And all 19% of them also passed the ELA.
Okay.
Graduation obviously is to be determined. Right now we have, talking to Mr. Sarsi, we have 3 students who he is working a lot with to make sure they graduate. Realistically, 2 of them, it's going to take a prayer to get them there. We're going to try though. We're going to try. So again, what are we doing? ELA, I'm going to get out of their way is really what I'm doing. Making sure that we continue to give them what they need, support them how they need to be supported. One of the big things we did with math, I talked to Ms. Lang and Ms. Chauvin, Ms. Chauvin, Ms. Payne, and Mr. McCord. Actually, right now, the junior class, which is the one that takes the SAT, is the only class that's split between 2 teachers. So we've consolidated. Next year, Ms. Payne's going to have every junior. So there's going to be a consistent teacher across all juniors when it comes to SAT prep, along with some of the other programs we're trying to implement. It's not going to happen overnight, and we're going to do what we can to keep on helping those kids out.
Sure.
Here's a really interesting one, Edgenuity. That's the program that we brought in 2 years ago. That kind of gives you a number of students who are taking it. Now again, we have 10 seats. So when it says 9, we had 10 kids in there. One of them just either didn't do it or didn't pass. So we had 9 students who successfully passed 6 courses in the spring of 2020. Right now, we have 9 students who are taking 13 courses. But if you look at all of that, we've gained 54 high school credits at 0 cost to our students with Edgenuity. So that's remarkable. We also have 3 students who are taking Edgenuity AP Psychology. So they got 3 credits first semester for that as well. We'll be curious how that AP test goes for them. So that's the high school in a nutshell.
All right.
You know, moving forward, you want to make sure, obviously, keep an eye on graduation rate. That will be a big indicator. We will also continue to monitor course completion rate, monitoring the number of Fs that students receive. That will then obviously lead to either an ability or inability to graduate.
Sure. Okay.
Art, is this a good time to put in graduation requirements, as you noted in your, both of you, I think, noted in your reports?
So in my report, my comment about graduation requirements, so last year ISBE made an adjustment to the graduation requirements, basically saying that any senior didn't have to do the second semester. That's really what ISBE came down to say.
Wow.
They have not said any of that. They're not going to, I'm sorry. So we still have students from last spring who did nothing because I'm not in school, so it's difficult for me to learn. I get that. So now those kids are a lot of the ones that we talked about right here. They're now seniors who have to take junior English, junior math, junior social studies to make up those classes. Nobody failed, but there was a lot of withdrawals. And that's how we handled the ISB comment on that. The only thing that the board could ever do is to limit the number of hours for community service. But, I mean, for the most part, when a kid gives me that they shoveled the neighbor's drive who's 85 years old,
Yeah.
that's all I need for you to do.
Yeah.
So, we're pretty good on those.
Okay.
Is there anything else about requirements or
That's good.
graduation we were referring to, or?
Thanks.
You're right, Girl.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah. Sanitation.
Yeah.
Clean.
I believe Mrs. Black, you're up.
Good evening,
Or Brad,
everyone.
did you? Okay. Go ahead.
So we have our data. We spent quite a bit of time at Day to Day last Wednesday with our RTI team looking at data, and then Mr. Cox and myself sat down and looked at some of those numbers a little bit more extensively after that. If you take a look at the numbers that we have here, we went through our STAR testing. All these are STAR numbers that we looked at. So through STAR testing, we could look at the last 3 years and where our students, all students, so like that average, the 3-year prior fall and winter is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade all averaged together. And with our ELA numbers, you can see in September that we were at 56. In January, we are at 64. So there's definitely some growth that we had there, not quite up to that 73 average where we have been in the past. But again, then if you look at our math numbers, we started the year at 49% of our students in green, and in the fall we had 62% of our students in green. So again, not exactly where we would like to be at 76, but definitely growth that has happened since the beginning of the year.
Exactly,
So.
and that's really important right now,
Right.
so that's great.
Right. So obviously, you know, what this shows is there has been some negative impact to our numbers, but I think that we would all be really surprised to think that this hasn't impacted our students at all. So what we're doing from here, just so you guys have an idea, so right now we have 60 minutes of math and ELA instruction each day with that time in the mornings. In addition to that, we have 30 minutes of flex time, which is individual planned time for students in both ELA and math to get learning at their level. We have a plethora of different things that we use. We use Study Island, we use IXL, we have teachers pulling small groups, whatever is needed at the time we're doing with those students. In the afternoon, 2nd grade has additional reading groups that they're meeting with, so they're meeting with all of their students virtually in the afternoon with reading groups, which is something they normally would do in the classroom. But just with COVID and our time constraints, they weren't able to do that before, but we're able to get that in the afternoon. Grades 3 through 5 also have, they're doing some science and social studies in the afternoon. And in addition to that, they've added a writing block, which has been really important because again, writing is something that when we were first just getting those 60 minutes, writing was something that we were realizing we needed more time with. So now all those students have an additional writing block in their afternoon time. Teachers also are having individual Google Meets with students as needed with that afternoon time. And we have been inviting struggling students to come in the afternoon if they're remote learners or stay extended day. And today when I was down there, I'm trying to think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We had about 10 students, 10 or 11 students, and it just kind of flexes depending on what the students need. And if students start falling behind, then they'll come in for maybe just a couple of days. They need to get themselves caught up. It's also been the opportunity where we've had some of our ELL students are getting their minutes met that way. I know Mrs. Openheis has been either testing or meeting with some of her special reading students with that time in the afternoon as well.
And again, that particular initiative ties right back into one of the things that is very important is that by state law, we can't socially promote kids. Okay? And so kids have to be able to demonstrate that they have covered the content to be able to successfully go to the next grade level. And so we're doing everything that we can think of to offer support and opportunities for kids to make sure that they're getting their work done so we don't have a large number of students being retained. So,
Right. I really, I can't think of anything else you could be doing, so that's
I really appreciate
awesome.
that. I really appreciate the
Yeah.
efforts that are being done.
And if you do think of anything, let us know. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're always working on how to make this better.
Is there a problem at all with transportation, that we could offer a
haven't.
late bus?
We haven't, we bus the students home at 2:30, so the students who are here, they eat lunch and then they have a little bit of free time and then they start their afternoon studies. And the students that we have invited that are remote to come back in, we haven't had an issue with any of, we haven't had any of them say, I need transportation on the way there. We do provide transportation home since we already have a bus doing that, but as of yet, that hasn't been brought to our attention as a need.
Okay. That's great.
And then where we go from here, so obviously there's a gap in, what we're going to do to kind of fill that. The first thing is sharing these results with the staff. So after day-to-day on Wednesday, what you guys saw was an average of all the different grade levels, but individual grade levels had a breakdown of just their grade level and their class and how they performed. So I've already shared those with staff, and then also one of the things we always do after day-to-day is we have our new students who maybe scored in yellow this time and they were in blue or green next time. We have a planning sheet, so we call it our flex time planning form. So the teachers look at their results and start to think about how am I going to use flex time and what students am I going to use in what way. So teachers are starting to do that. The results that I shared with you guys tonight, I will also be sharing with our staff Wednesday. We have a school improvement afternoon. So we're going to look at that whole school data and again, start making a plan for what we can do. I think we're doing a lot, but we can certainly spend some time and talk about what else we can do during that time. Any needs that come up, if teachers need any PD or anything else to support that, I will definitely work on doing that. We may, adjust our schedules as needed if they feel like they need more time for one thing over another thing. Definitely something we can do.
So at the end of the year, and I mean, this is for all, different levels, but are you planning on like vertical alignments and everything to go specific with, what was covered, or even with specific kids, like what, where the downfall was, so that it's more of a seamless transition next year?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because Wednesday afternoon at day-to-day, we talked a lot about that with our RTI, especially with math, because we had a new reading series last year. Our 3, 4, 5 reading teachers were able to spend a lot of time doing that vertical alignment just together through the PD that was provided by the series that we got. And we really feel like math, we had talked about math, we need to do that as well. And a little bit like what Mr. Dahan said, reading skills are super important, and I'm not taking that away, but reading skills kind of build on each other. You're not necessarily learning brand new skills that you've never seen before.
Right.
Where math, that happens. So I think especially with math, to be able to have that vertical time, for first grade to say, hey, usually we get this far, but this year we weren't able to get to this, this, and this. So second grade knows coming in where some of those gaps are, where they might have to, do like a little pre-unit or, some kind of, refresher or introduction that maybe doesn't typically have to happen.
And then, like,
already started
for the transition years too, like 6th grade and 9th grade, that's my biggest worry, is that those kids, when you're going to a totally different school, like, okay, where were they? And that vertical alignment is so important too.
Well, and that's part of the reason too, when we set up the way that our, when we chose our math series, part of what we did was we did that K through 7 so that it's the same series between the buildings. And also, having 8th grade, they have a different look too, moving into high school. And it's similar things that we've done with both ELA and math. With that in mind, hoping to have a little bit less of that shock of going to a new school and having a different curriculum.
Right. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So if we could take a minute and go back to the numbers slide here, Mrs. Black. I want to unpack this for a second and make sure that everybody understands what we're looking at here. Okay, so our average had been 73 in ELA. When we got back to start the first quarter, we dropped down to 56. By the winter benchmark, back up to 64. Okay, so this literally is the best data that we have. Okay, grades 2 through 8. Take this, use this as a triannual benchmark. 60 is the magic number when you look at this. Okay, here's what I mean by that. What we're looking at here is, and again, this is a nationally normed test. Okay, so 60% of the kids nationally are at this level. Okay, so if we're at 73, that means we're above the national. Okay? If we're at 64, that means we're above the national. And it's the national benchmark of where kids should be in normal years. Okay? So, the fact that we are already back above the national average of where we should be in a normal year, that's pretty fantastic.
And 9% off the average.
Yes.
So that's pretty awesome.
And headed back in the right direction. This also tells me a couple things. It tells me fourth quarter really didn't work. And it tells me getting kids back on campus and live stream is helping immensely.
Yeah.
Not as perfect as a normal day,
Yeah.
but it tells me that we're doing a lot of the right things. So when you look at those numbers, 60 is that magic number. The same will apply with Mr. Meyer here in just a minute. Any other questions for Mrs. Black?
Thank you.
Mrs. Black.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. We are not at 60. Let's just start there.
I'm gonna hear this.
I know. So, we were at 70. Then we go down to 51, then we go to 53, same thing, 69, 47, 52. I know our growth is not where it needs to be, like it was with the elementary, but I am pleased with the fact that we did grow from September to January. Again, it's not much, but at least it's not in the other way.
And I feel like for junior high age kids, I mean, COVID has hit so many kids groups so different. But as a middle school teacher myself, I've seen such a change in those kids and their motivation and their performance, honestly. So I'm not surprised that this showed with the middle school kids.
But at least I think we're moving in the right direction.
You're still moving
I
up.
hope. And
Yeah.
to answer that question a little bit, what Mrs. Black said too, and we talked about at the beginning of the year with our vertical alignment, what didn't you get done last year? So we would be a little bit more prepared with, hey, we might have to review things in 7th grade that should have been done in 6th grade at the end of the year. And so, yes, we tried to do that as well.
Yep.
But that's where we're moving, so yes, I hope to get to 60. I hope with our spring scores, we do improve. I mean, that's the goal. Again, usually, and what's kind of shocking, at least for me, usually our ELA scores, we jump up. This time it was more math. You know, usually we're kind of lower in math. So I like I mean, obviously we started lower, but I do like the improvement. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of pleased with that. So here's what we're currently doing, very simple, what Mrs. Black. And we have 60 minutes of ELA, so that's reading and English, 2 approximately 30-minute classes. It depends if you have them in the morning or if you have them remotely in the afternoon. Our remote classes in the afternoon, the 3 are only 28 minutes. So that's why math, I said 28 minutes. We only have 1 class of math, so it's either 28 minutes or 37, depending on if you have it in the morning, 37, or you have it in the afternoon, it's 28. With our current schedule, we have 50 minutes of study hall right now for non-band and choir students. If you have band or choir, depending upon, I think I have like 4 people that have both, that are taking both band and choir, that don't have a study hall. But usually, those 4 people, and it might be 3 now that I think, but they are pretty good students and their grades really aren't negatively affected by not having a study hall. But the other kids, if you're a 6th grader, you have band Tuesday and Thursday. So you get at least 50 minutes of study hall Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And why I say that is because one of the things I like about putting the study hall in before 11:30 is if you have bad grades, all the teachers are there. You need to go see your teacher. You need to go get your stuff done. You need to go ask questions. You need to be able to go do that one-on-one. I think that's tremendous. I mean, that's one of our goals besides the RTI thing that hopefully is going to help some of those kids to pass. But again, we're there, but you still got to do the work. But we like now, if it does change, we won't have a 50-minute study hall. But first year of RTI program. We just spent 3 hours last Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day that was, looking at data and putting kids into the new RTI, 3rd quarter RTI, which is 6 weeks. So we think we're moving in the right direction there. Again, looking at data, putting kids, let's see, at least ELA, you're going to get help Tuesday afternoon. You have 1 teacher assigned to you, and then on Thursday it's math. So besides study hall, we are helping kids with the IXL program during RTI, or it's just homework help for some of them as well. They can't get their stuff, and they just need some more one-on-one help. I'm trying to think, I think our biggest class was, I think there's 18 kids maybe, 18 kids in 8th grade that are in RTI, either, not both, all 18 are split between ELA and math, but that's our largest class that is utilizing our RTI program. So we started Steady Island, which is really effective, grade level and up. It's more of a test prep type of program. And now we are trialing or in our trial stages of the IXL reading and math. That's what we're using with our RTI program. So I have one math teacher, one regular ed math, and I have one regular ed ELA teacher using the IXL series, and then we have our special ed teachers using the IXL. Right now, that seems to be more effective with our RTI program. That seems to be, we just need to get used to it more. We need to, figure it out a little bit better. But that seems to be maybe where we are going to move in the future. Second year of ELA, third year of math. I think Mrs. Black already kind of touched on that. We hope the consistency of our ELA program from elementary through junior high, or at least through 7th grade, that's going to bridge some of those gaps from the transition years of 5th and 6th to 8 and 9. And then the third year with Go Math, again, the terminology, all that stuff is the same. So that's hopefully that stuff is going to be beneficial down the road. What we did last year, this is the second year of that, our accelerated ELA students have one teacher in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. I made the decision last year to do that. Right, wrong, and different. I think maybe they get used to that. They know what to expect. There's a lot of challenges. You don't have to kind of figure out the teacher and take 2 or 3 months to figure out the teacher again. I don't know if that's the right thing. That's what I chose to do, but we will see. And then there's PM learning for those select students. We have up to 21. We had 15 today. We have a lot that are well, we have given a lot of opportunities to kids. Are all of them taking that and working their rear ends off? I would say no, but we do have 2 aides plus plus 2 social workers in there. We have an intern and a social worker and 2 aides. So we've got plenty of people helping out. But I would say the majority of them are doing a really good job, and it's going to make a huge difference on at least 7 of those kids coming in because they were doing little to nothing remotely, and then to get them at least on campus in the afternoon is making a big difference for us. What's next? So, a few things. Obviously share the results with staff. Scheduling changes, needs and study halls. So scheduling changes. Let's say we go to phase 5. Let's say we go longer during the day. That's going to be a positive. We get people here longer. Class periods are going to be longer. Study hall needs. It's not quite as easy, and I've talked to the teachers in the math and ELA, and it's like, we'll give, we can identify these kids with their benchmark scores. Let's just put them in my study hall. Well, it's not that easy because if they're a band and you've got an opposite lunch, it doesn't work that way. So I always try to have one math teacher in one lunch, one math teacher in the other lunch, kind of divide up the ELA. Hopefully they all can be helpful, but maybe we put more of those red and yellow kids, if they're not special ed, in those particular study halls. Institute plan time. One of the things that they ask for is, let's have more department time. It's difficult to get everybody together, and we know that. So that's what we try to do on some of our institute days, is give them time. And hopefully they use that time. Be professional, use that time. With a regular schedule, meaning non-COVID. Our reading teachers truly believe we need to bring back AR, because I suspended it last spring, and I suspended it now because I truly suspended it, meaning we aren't taking grades for it. Sure, we want them to read, but what we're finding out is those kids are not spending time independently reading. And so if we can get that back, now we get 47 minutes of, 2 classes, a reading and a language arts class. Maybe we can spend 10, 15 minutes a day, maybe not a day, sorry, 10, 15 minutes a couple days a week or whatever, reading, making sure that those kids are reading. They truly believe that has affected some of their test scores. In math, we get 1 teacher per grade level. We had that when I first came here. We had a 6th grade teacher, we had a 7th grade teacher, and an 8th grade. Now we have a 6th and an 8th, and they both split 7. If we continue with the Go Math program, and we've got 1 math teacher per grade level, and they can truly focus in on that particular grade level, we think that might be a positive and successful. Cross-curricular work. We've gone back and forth with this. This is where, providing professional development underneath that cross-curricular work. The English teachers truly believe, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget it. If we can get the social studies and science teachers to help out a little bit with writing essays, which they do write, but use the MLA style, use the proper format that the English or that the Common Core Standards wants and expects, then if we can get some more of that, which we get a little bit, but if we get more of that, then English can focus on the literature, the grammar, the speaking, and the writing more effectively. But that takes training.
Yeah.
That takes professional development. Plus, you know, okay, Common Core standards, so are they better than our social studies standards? Are they better than our science standards? They all have standards too. Every subject has standards, but what's the most important? Is it these test scores? Is it the notice, you know, to know your history, or is it great for STEM? You know, it's a balancing act, and that's what I do with my bottom bullet point.
If I could, with the writing across curricular, with it being in the standards, something that really helped where I was, we had a writing cross curricular like planning session for an entire year, where we throughout the whole entire district we had teachers that would get together and talk about like how they're incorporating writing. And what we were able to do is learn where we were developing like thesis questions and things like that. So it was all spread out, and it has really helped all of our writing. Like we, in social studies that I teach, we write every day.
Okay.
So it's made a huge difference for us. So like that whole across the board, you know, curricular planning and seeing who's doing what with the writing in each subject helped so much.
And I think with the professional development, I think some of our teachers feel inadequate in grading writing. I want to grade content. That's why I'm a content teacher. I need to do, but again, I think they got to get over that and help out, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's knowing something.
It makes a huge difference.
I would agree with that. And so that's another one of the points that they brought up.
Or just that if you have the common expectations, complete sentences, you know,
That's true.
if they all have that, we call it quality of work expectations. That's
Sure.
it, you know.
But, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And the bottom one, and I know it's generic, and I know I don't know if it's education speak, but the balanced approach of traditional and modern teaching strategies. What I mean by that is, I'm old, but I truly believe a pencil and paper sometimes is effective. I truly believe getting your rear end out of a seat, getting up on a board, and writing math problems and doing that stuff. I truly believe that needs to be part of it, but that's also, we got to get it back in school.
Yeah.
I think we're relying, and I know this year, in the spring, and now this year into 20 and 21,
Yeah.
I know that the computer is the main, I truly get that. But I think the total reliance on a computer, the instant gratification of a computer and not being able to work through things, I think sometimes is a struggle with kids, and they quit. I want that balance back. I also want, we know what works. I wrote some of the things down. Wordly Wise, DOLs, 5-a-day, Delta Math, you know, some of that, like the DOLs and the 5-a-day, the mechanics and conventions, Delta Math, AR reading, no red ink. One of the other things that I'm getting caught up into, I think, as well is, hey, this is the hot new thing, let's try it. Oh, now this one came out, and this one might be better. And then we jump. We went from right to learn to no red ink, but we think no red ink is the best. Or we thought right to learn was last year, and the year before. So we train these people, and then we bail on them a little bit, and I don't like that. I got to do a better job of some of that, and maybe stick with it, even though there might be some rough patches, but maybe stick with it, and it comes through. Let's see. I think you've heard enough from me. But I do like the IXL. We talked to the math teachers and the reading teachers have said so far.
Yeah.
But I don't have all of them on there. Like the elementary, I think all of them are working on IXL. We just have a few teachers just to try it and see.
Yeah.
So,
There's definitely been a turn of like dependency using it, because I mean we all have to right now, and using like the technology. One of my son's teachers actually, now that when she's back in person, they're in person now, she doesn't use the computer at all. Like she'll live stream and help the kids there too, and at the same time, but she's using paper and pencil. My son comes home so happy. I mean, it's amazing how just that, like you have to use both still. You can't depend too much on GoMath. You have to actually talk to the kids and teach them, you know? And it's hard because this has been our way. So, yeah.
It is. I think we, again, I'm not saying the computer is the wrong, it is what it is. And
it should be there, yeah.
But I want to, I still think it's important to do some of the things that run off copies and, hey, write and draw and type and actually write and penmanship and some of those things I think are.
I miss papers.
So just to kind of clarify a little bit, you know, Mr. Meyer said that he hopes that things are getting better. And yes, we all do. But I also wanted to be very clear that it's not just a hope. In the last 6 or 8 months, in all 3 buildings, I've seen some of the best work done, and you've seen just in the junior high, Study Island, IXL, afternoon supports. Those were things that didn't exist 12 months ago, right? And so we're not just hoping things get better. You know, I'm very proud of what is being put in place to make them better and to better support our kids. And so, you know, I'm cautiously optimistic about all of that.
It's so clear the high level of communication across all levels right now, and that's huge. And I think that's really, like, the kids have learned so much more, but the teachers have learned so much more too, that, I mean, it'll all bring us higher. We'll be good.
Any questions
Great job.
for Mr. Meyer before
Thank you
he-
very much.
Could have been just a little slower on the explanation.
Hey, I'll give you the slides.
That was quite a presentation. Thank you, Mr. Meyer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy, go for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Cox?
Yeah,
Did you need
as
this? I'm sorry, Mr. Cox, did you need this? Did you have something?
no, I'm gonna get my computer back.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Sorry. Thanks, sir.
One of the things that was brought up earlier is was that obviously very cold out this morning. We did have a few heating issues at the elementary school. Those were primarily in the kindergarten, first and second grade, very close to Mrs. Black's office, something she monitored very closely. Of course, kind of a blessing, the fact that you know, we only have kids on campus for 3.5 hours. The high school, pretty sure the boiler went out Friday night. And so this building was very cold this morning.
Okay.
To the point where, had they not been older kids, I don't know that we would have kept kids in the building.
What temperature would you say the buildings were? Did you test
Well,
that?
we had a pipe burst inside. We had a sprinkler head burst, which meant that it froze, which meant that inside it was less than 32 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
So now you kind of parlay that into a couple of different things, right? Both at the elementary school and at the high school, the HVAC systems are 60 years old.
Yeah.
We also don't have modern technologies of alarms when things don't happen correctly. You know, we'll get notified, you know, after the sprinkler head breaks, and then there's a drop in pressure, and then the fire department's called, but we don't know, hey, it's 45 degrees in here, something's going on. So one of the things that I would urge you as a community to continue to move forward with is continuing to update facilities. You know, I know that the facilities committee has had some conversations about air conditioning. Well, so maybe the conversation isn't updating air conditioning, maybe it's updating the HVAC to include air conditioning, right? And so it's very difficult, you know, it's very difficult to have those conversations with your community that our buildings aren't being heated the way we need them to, and we're not notified when we are having issues because we don't have those technologies, and yet we still have money in the bank. And so I urge you in the months and years moving forward to continue those conversations and over time be better.
Can I ask if any of these issues could have been prevented if the life safety issues on the life safety things have been
No,
done?
really unrelated.
Okay, so none of these were listed in our life safety audit?
You know, so no, the life safety audit is not going to have, you know, HVAC monitoring. That's really not the point.
But none of like the
that audit.
faulty things that happened
No,
in it are
no,
part of it? Okay.
No.
So there wasn't like electrical
Right,
panels?
it's just February and it was 8 below and, right.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead.
So if we have some cold snaps like this, like, did you guys like talk to Mr. Stanula about having a plan maybe to make sure that the boiler's kicking on over the weekend and stuff? Like, can he monitor that to make sure it
Yeah,
is?
the only way to monitor our buildings,
Is
we're not
personally
here,
in
is
it.
to have somebody
Yeah.
personally here.
And then my other thing is like when it's that cold, like at the high school, and I know that they're older, it's just, especially now that we have the remote option. I mean, I know that there's some kids that like sensory wise, for example, that's like sitting in torture to be that cold, you know, like I hope to God this does not happen anymore and we are done with the cold temperatures. Since it's so easy to go remote, like, because the heat's out, you know, like, I just feel like that's, especially if it's that cold.
I'm just going to reiterate, as I said, as I asked one time, and this is the second time now that I've been caught off guard. Mr. Herman, President, did you know about the heat today?
No, I did not.
Mrs. Pappas? Juan?
No.
Okay. I know a lot of people say that's micromanaging. I don't believe it's micromanaging. I believe when the heat went out, you're really good at transparency. Mm-hmm. But not even an email to the board members. It's the second time I've been caught off guard. Look, we hire you to be the superintendent, no doubt about that. The board members, I think, should have known about that. That's just my opinion, Mr. Cox.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Ron. I
And
appreciate that.
it really bothers me that this is now December, I was blindsided by something that I brought to your attention, and now I'm blindsided about the heat. This is the Board of Education. Please share the information with us.
You bet.
To me, it looks like that we don't want to be transparent. Nobody's telling you how to do your job, because I think you guys are doing a wonderful job. But we'd like to know what things are going on, because we're not blindsided by the public.
Yep, we can definitely do better.
And I also understand how crazy school is right now, and especially this day was insane. So I get that too, and I want to state that I mean, I would have liked to know as well, but I also know that today was a crazy day in the district. But yeah, I agree.
No, of course.
Mr. Cox, when people have concerns like that, do they contact you, or do they, or it seems like what's been happening is they just show up at board meetings when they're concerned about something, and it seems like they're not like really going to administration. I remember that, I don't know, two board meetings ago, they were concerned about a FOIA request. I think they were thinking that we were responsible for their FOIA requests not being as promptly sent to them, but are they going to you using the proper channels and?
In the vast majority of issues, yes, and I would say now more than ever, we have very good communication with our parents, and it's very rare that, kind of like what Ron was just talking about. It's very rare that a parent shows up here and we don't know that parent has that concern.
Okay.
So to kind of, any other questions on that?
No.
So to kind of segue into, we do have our vaccinations are being scheduled for our school staff, employees, and so that day is February 19th. That's looking like a full push-out day, which will look a little bit different. But there basically won't be live streaming that day. And so, of course, if our employees' first round of vaccinations is February 19th, the second round is March 12th. So then, a month after March 12th, once your body has the opportunity to develop antibodies, so now the conversation is, what does school look like? Even though we're still in phase 4, phase 5, we open the doors and away we go.
Is it a full month after the vaccine that you have to wait?
It's 4 to 6 weeks to develop antibodies.
Okay.
And so that's part of the reason why the communication still is, if you've had the vaccine, you can be contact traced into quarantine.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense. So if there's anybody out there that's making any sense, once they finally get to a point in the calendar where people have started having 2 vaccinations and a month, the CDC will change that.
And I want to commend you and thank you for offering that. That's to all staff, right? Like teachers, parapros, everybody?
It's everybody, I believe we've had volunteer coaches who are signed up.
Awesome.
Yes. And
I
anybody-
appreciate how fast you got it done
Yep.
and that it's overarching. I mean, other big district, my district, like you were before them. Like,
Well,
I really appreciate that.
We're trying, and Will County Health Department's been great, Silver Cross has been great, and so, we're trying.
That's awesome.
And so then the conversation, so you look at the calendar, so now you're talking mid-April, so we're talking after spring break.
Yep.
So then does school look different then, once all of our employees have had the opportunity to be vaccinated? So we're having those internal conversations right now, what that looks like. I'm fully anticipating being, that the live school day will be extended, but I don't know what that looks like. It won't be till 3 o'clock, it'll at least be till 1 o'clock.
And then,
And somewhere in the middle, we will land on exactly what that looks like, because you can't just automatically go to 3 o'clock, because you still have 30% of the kids who are at home, and you have to give, figure out a way to give special attention to that block of kids within the confines of the school day. And so those conversations are on.
have you started like the conversation, like how to alleviate that so that like classroom teachers wouldn't have to do simultaneous instruction? Or like if you can have, do we have the staff that would have remote teachers and in-person teachers?
We don't have a large enough staff.
We don't.
for that.
Okay, shoot. I would just like to say that Grant Park has extremely low class sizes, and because of their low class sizes and their amount of staff, they've been able to do that. That's why it's worked in Grant Park. People have always asked, is Grant Park getting, because they have low class sizes and enough staff to cover both instruction so that they don't have to do it at the same time, which is not your fault at all. It's spending, it's other issues, but it's something that I think we could be better at with smaller class sizes and everything if we would be willing to extend staffing. But yeah, just wanted to put it there.
So, Mr. Cox, just to clarify, because we got an email at my work that once we were all vaccinated, I had the first shot, I get the second one on Thursday, that nothing was going to change. Like, we're still the same quarantine and everything like that. So it's really up to like the CDC, right? It wouldn't, I was
That's
kind of
correct.
surprised by
All
that,
of the
but-
quarantine and contact tracing rules, they're technically set by IDPH, but they're going by and large off of what the CDC says.
Right.
And right now, it makes no sense, and I've gone round and round with the good folks at Will County. So if you've actually had COVID, and for the next 90 days, if you get contact traced, you don't have to go into quarantine because you've got the antibodies.
Is that true for kids as well?
There's no studies on kids,
Yeah.
so they
Like,
don't.
for example,
I'm
we
gonna-
had that issue because my kids weren't tested when they had it. Our doctor suggested to
Right.
test them. Jake still tested positive. So if he had gotten tested and he was positive, would he had to re-quarantine when my husband was sick?
No.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Because
And
that's
so-
what my doctor said, to
and
get my
so-
kids tested.
And so to Carla's point, what the CDC and IDPH are saying now is, once you have the second vaccination, if you get contact traced, you still have to quarantine.
Oh, my goodness.
That's
So
what
if
they
they
told
don't change that, they're idiots.
Yes. I hope.
The CDC, though, pushing now more towards kids need to be back in school.
They could.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
They could.
So just to ask again, because I'm sorry I wasn't clear. If they go for longer days, are you trying to find out some way that they don't do simultaneous? Or what are you thinking there?
No.
No?
And part of our success has been our live stream.
Oh,
Is that
yes.
a what?
Part of our success has been our live streaming.
I 100%. I wish that there, and I know, I mean, put up a job for parapros, you can't find anybody, I just feel that that is where the stress is lying for the staff,
I get it.
And that if there's any way, like if they had a parapro sitting with the live streamers, something to relieve some of that stress, I feel like then going to 1 o'clock, whatever, would be not too much on the teachers,
I get it.
Yeah.
That's why there's a lot of pieces to the conversation.
So much, yes.
Yep.
I mean,
Like I said before, and I'll say it again, you guys gave options, which many schools still are not in school, And
Yeah.
we are. So we had that option to send the kids to school, and some of them want to remote learn, so I think we have the best of both worlds in this one.
Yeah, and if you stop, and if you, I mean, seriously, again, I think I've said the word calendar 7 times. If you look at the calendar, we're almost a year into this.
I've been home for a year.
And there are schools, and not a small number of schools, that in 11 months, the kids no kid has been on their campus. And so I think we've done great, and I cannot say enough great things about our entire staff.
Yes.
From teachers to teaching assistants, to bus drivers, to
Administrative assistants.
everybody who works with kids.
Yeah.
I've never been more proud of an organization than I have.
I mean, it really has shown how
These last 7
exemplary
months.
the whole thing is. You guys have all done such a great job. It really shows it. Because you've been able to do both.
I just have a question on the students who are missing out.
Yep.
I've read, the steps that we've taken, with sending the SRO and registered letters, and what's the percentage that is in that category?
It's so, all things are relative, right? You don't want any child to get left behind, so 1 is too many. But in grades, in the elementary school and in the junior high, I would say of those, that's probably 800 kids. You're probably looking at 24 that if something doesn't change, that they'll have to be retained.
Yeah.
Hopefully when we get to that, it will be a significantly less number than that. But by law, we can't just say, okay, you literally did nothing all 2nd grade, now you're in 3rd grade. That's illegal.
Yeah.
And and literally we've had the SRO. I mean, if the police show up at my door, even when I haven't done anything wrong, I sit up and take notice, right?
That's right.
I know.
So, if seriously, what the principal said earlier is exactly right. If one of you can thinks of something or sees something, email us and say, hey, I saw that this was going on.
Do you get the parents to even contact you back and say what's going on?
In some cases, the parents do not contact us back. That's a handful. Literally, you can count that on one hand, but that does happen.
Like I haven't seen 2 of my students the entire year at all. Can't get a hold of parents now. What do you do? I have no ideas for you. You guys just do your best.
We're doing everything we can.
Consider true.
Can they cop out and say, well, they were doing home study?
They had to sign up for that, right?
Right.
Do they?
Yeah, you have to sign up to be homeschooled through the county. Well, I don't want to say have to. You're supposed to. You're supposed to.
That's concerning to me. That's quite a problem.
It is.
Yeah, even 5 is too many.
Yeah. I bet you can't go there and hold the pencil or the
Yeah.
computer.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Reopening plan, I think we covered that. Press policy update issue 102 for the 2nd reading. Need a motion to approve the 2nd reading of press policy update issue 102 as presented.
Second.
Okay, Missouri?
Yeah.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yeah.
Pappas?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And I guess I'll take these one at a time. A motion to approve the 1st reading of press update issue 103 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to approve the 1st reading of press update issue 103 as presented.
104.
Whoops, I'm sorry, yeah, 104.
Yeah, so moved.
Oh,
Second.
I see what happened.
Okay, Herman?
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
motion carried.
Motion to approve the first reading of press update issue 105 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
and Herman.
Motion to approve, yes. Motion to approve the first reading of press update issue 106 as presented.
No. Go for it.
So moved.
Second. Chairperson.
Okay, Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
motion carried.
Just real quick on the policy, once these are second readings of the 103, 104, 105, 106, we'll be all caught up in press policy and be ready to go. And then we'll just have to do updates when the ISB sends them out.
Very good.
So,
And I thank the committee that I recall doing those before, and it's a long, tedious job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're really good at reading.
They're ready, so nobody can disagree.
You know, from a district office perspective, this is something that's kind of been hanging out there.
Yeah.
And so, really appreciate, you know, Ron's cheerleadership and the committee's dedication to get this done and get caught up. So, thank you, because that takes something off our plate as well. So,
Good.
we much appreciate it.
Government's ready.
All right, moving to teacher aide. I need a motion to approve the employment of Tressa Clayton as teacher's aide.
I just had a question. So is this a replacement? Did we lose, are we down one there?
Yes.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
motion carried.
And I need a motion to approve the proposed 2021-2022 school calendar as presented.
Can I just ask, do you do like a calendar committee with the union people? Or like, has this gone through that vetting or just, what do you do with that?
So, by contract,
Uh-huh.
there is a representation from the teachers and myself.
Okay.
And if we cannot agree on a single calendar, then they bring the board their calendar, I bring the board, or the superintendent brings the board their calendar, and then the board decides.
Okay, so this is the final resolution then?
Correct.
So moved.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
and Hernandez,
Yes.
motion carried.
A motion to approve the proposed 2022-2023 school calendar is presented.
So moved.
Second.
And again, this is a tentative calendar, but we like to have a second one out there because you would not believe how many calls we get about, you know, when is spring break 2 years from now?
Exactly.
All right, if we have something on the books, then we can let people know.
I personally had to change my Disney trip. It's fine.
Exactly my point.
So I appreciate the early one.
Okay, Missouri,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
and Pappas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 seniority list as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
motion carried.
And I must say, I was looking at that list today, and those were kids not that long ago.
I know.
All right. I need a motion to proceed to executive session to discuss
Pending litigation.
pending litigation.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. On yet?
All right.
I'm here.
Okay.
We should be good to go.
We should be good to go. All right, we're back in regular session. I have no other items. Next board meeting, March 8th at 7 o'clock. I don't have any other updates, upcoming dates. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, voice
Aye.
vote? Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned.